Hi, welcome to this video on my fischertechnik robot interface with motor with carriage on tracks and the BeagleBoard, on which runs Ubuntu Linux for ARM processor. Last time I did some rewiring and reprogramming, but in the end the result was that this sensor still didn't give the correct result, in the sense that it wasn't really touched. If I push it now, it can be touched, but the obvious goal is that by means of this propeller and being propelled forward it should work, and it still doesn't. And this lamp was burning at the wrong time, because it should burn upon this sensor being activated, but it constantly burned when the sonar was active, and that is not really what's supposed to burn. So that is the focus of today, and if I will manage, we'll see. First thing to do right now is to make sure that the carriage can actually touch the sensor, because if I look at this now, when I put the carriage on the side, on the left side of the track, it can touch it, but just barely. And if I do it here, same way, but it's too flexible as well. So I need to do something about the flexibility and about the location of this touchable sensor. First, let's see also if everything still works. So I'm going to start program. And there is one thing that goes, it's not really stable. And considering the output on the screen, the sensor is not activated at all. So with this result, let's just try to do something. To show that the sensor actually is not being activated, you can see here the distances, and in the code it clearly says that if the sensor is activated, then print the the values of the output. It doesn't happen, so it is not activated. The distance varies between 7 and 4 centimeters. So there remains some things to be done. First of which is checking if all the sensors are actually working. So what I can do is diagnostics interface. Let's put it in distance mode. And let me press the 8th input, and then you can see here that it actually works. So that is not a problem. And here you can see the value of the sonar. That works too. So those things work. The fan you have already seen on camera. The lamp you haven't yet. The lamp is attached to output let me see, output 2. Oops. So let me do output 2. And this is output. Oh, that is strange. This is output 1. And not output 2. So if I say let's see, oh no, I'm putting this wrong, because this is the motor setting and this is the lamp setting, which is indeed on 1. And you've seen the motor work, obviously, because that is the fan and this is the lamp, so it works. Which leads me back to ending this and try to get the sensor to work, hopefully. First thing to do is to make sure that the switch contact, sensor contact, is in the middle of the tracks. So that I have done. Another point is also that the track is not entirely horizontal. So I've put something together, and by putting this under the tracks I hope this will improve it. So the track will be horizontal. The only question is, how does the carriage behave? And that is something that may be a little bit awkward. So it is now horizontal. The question still is, are these pins which function as wheel axis freely go over it? And there's only one way to test this: run the program. So let's see and hope that this actually works. and so far it doesn't work at all. Well, okay, it works. I hope my finger too much in the sonar. And here the wire is in front of the sonar, so I have to do something about that too. But the sensor is not pressed. Oops. The power of the fan still directs the tracks, but the sensor is not being touched. So I have to find another solution for this. It doesn't run very smoothly either, but at least the tracks are horizontal now. But still, the problem is the sensor. So let's find another solution with this, keeping the horizontal ones in it. And there's still another thing. By the drag, these two have approached each other, so I need to find a distance holder, because this is not helping either in this way. This one really should stay here, and by the drag it moves, as you can see. Very, very strong drag. Anyway, time for seeking new solutions. With a distance holder here, so the parts to keep the track horizontal will stay at least in part in place. I've put the sensor a little bit higher, so it will really touch the front of the carriage. So let's observe what happens. And the sensor is not touched correctly. But what you can observe is that the speed in that direction is lower than the speed in that direction. So what would happen if I turn the motor around? So instead of dragging, it pushes it. So let's stop the thing and just turn the motor around. Curious what will happen then. If anything. And I figure I should then turn the turn the speed around as well. So let me change the code accordingly. Which means that in normal it goes left, and where it goes left it turns into right. And let's start again. And I'm holding the tracks so it won't be dragged. But even then, with a higher speed, it doesn't press the sensor. So while it really bangs against it, I guess the blade inside the sensor is so strong that even with the collision it is not pressed enough to make a signal go positive. So I have to figure that one out. I just don't know how yet. The only thing that is an improvement right now is the reverse of the motor and this. And I haven't even looked at the lamp yet. So let's see how we figure out the sensor, or the impression to the sensor. Apparently this isn't good enough. By hand it's easy, of course, but this doesn't make a dent. So, well, let's find something out. While experimenting off camera, I realized something else. This part is rather flexible. So let me start the whole thing, and I push it back, and you can see that everything is dragged away. And this means that the sensor will not get a firm pressure on it, because although its location relative to the tracks is not changed, it is changed because the whole track moves. So in that perspective, if I hold it, and let me try to do it decently. And now I'm holding the tracks, but this is far too flexible, including the rails, to make a good impression impossible. So although the idea is nice, this won't work. What maybe will work is if I make something with the sensor in such a way that for instance this piece that I've slided in here, this piece will touch the sensor when it's vertical. So it won't be touched like this, but slide it in, and perhaps that will be a solution. But that means a reconstruction here. So let's see how that works out. So with things changed a bit, as you could see. You may hear the fan still running. So while watching this part, you can watch what happens or not. If I push it by hand, the sensor should be recognized, as you can see now. 8 is 1 and 7 and 6 are, as you may have noticed the last time, just for security, but now it is really recognized as 1. But this is pushed by hand. I push the carriage under the sensor. And then the lamp goes on for 1 second and then out for 1 second. So that I have to check as well, that when digital that it should change the sleeping time of the lamp, but that's of later concern. Right now the problem is, why does it work while the tracks are horizontal and the sensor is fixed? Because right now it doesn't touch the sensor. Now I push it gently backwards and you see it. So there is very little force necessary to get it done. And I push it again with little force, very little, and it works. Although with a delay, that needs to be said. So I push it in and out again. I push it in, 1, 2, 3, and within 2 seconds it works, and lamp goes on and off. The question is still, why doesn't it work without my without physically helping it? Anyway, back to the tracks. I have put the sensor vertically, with the sensor being pushed up a little bit of the portal because it was too flexible, which I hope it is not now. So it's time to test it. And the question is, why is it? You see it is being moved. Oops. Careful with the wires. But the question is, right now this horizontal placeholder is fixed to the sensor. So that may be a little bit of a problem. I need to drag it out a little bit. No, don't move the camera. So that may be a little downside of this construction. I think it is. However, I don't know if you can see it, but the sensor is being pushed up. And right now on screen I see a clear message that it is. And there the lamp goes. I do it manually now. And it says bad speed for motor. Let me try to fix that first. Because I did set the motor to 8. I put it back to 7. Apparently that is 7 or 8 is not always detected and liked. Let's do it again and see what works out eventually. The fast speed that I noticed has gone for some reason. But if I push through, the sensor is apparently not entirely pushed. It is too flexible. And I'll show you on screen as well. So this construction is not entirely functioning, unfortunately. And whatever the cause in material and the construction, I can't tell yet, but I have my suspicion. If I move this right here, okay, let's see on camera. Another cause of the problem may be that the wheels of the carriage are so close to the edges that it causes too much friction. So that could be solved by using slightly bigger wheels, but then I would have to change this entire setup because only these wheels fit into these parts. And to be honest, I feel the resistance. So that may be part of the problem. And the height of the sensor keeps being a problem. It is very sensitive how close this is to the part, to this backside, because right now it's bumping against it. Pushing it a little bit higher, and it's still bumping against it. It can push it up, but that's not a solution, I think. And now it's come loose. So it should run freely, which it doesn't at the moment. Let me try to just adjust the switch a little bit. Now it can run freely. Then again, will it, when I start the program again? Nope, it just drags the track away. So I think with a bigger wheel set that doesn't rub against the tracks, it could run better. Let me just find something that could work. But then again, with bigger wheels, the whole setup of the sensor would have to be lifted. And to be honest, I like this very small setup, so I have to think about how this is going to work out. Also, I reversed the motor, because that is a slight improvement in speed. That said, I didn't reverse the sonar stuff. Maybe not necessary. The whole idea of going back and forward automatically, that has gone. So I need to check the algorithm anyway. So algorithm needs to be changed on the light anyway. Speed of the motor, perhaps, and then the setup of the hardware. I think that will be enough, and stuff for next episode, I think. So for now, thank you for watching, with some improvements. Not every improvement as big as I hoped, but to be continued.